Hey guys, yo, what is up? My name is Seb and welcome to Jump Inside End of the Month podcast, where we have a little bit of a subject. We have a talk around about what we think about video games. Today's episode is going to be called The Odd One Out, where of course a game does a series and sometimes it differs from what it normally is used to. And in today's video, we're going to be chatting about that and just seeing and hearing about what we think, and should a game actually change the way it makes its video games as it makes its sequels? Let's get down to the discussion. And joining me in today's discussion, I have a Blue Fox with me.
Glad to be here, Seb.
And I also have Danny with me.
Hello, Seb.
Brilliant. So we'll start off with some basic questions and then we'll get more and more deep down into it and hear about our opinions on it. So, Blue Fox, you brought along the game Far Cry Blood Dragon, is that correct?
I did, yes.
And what my question is how is that series, or from the series, how is that different from the other games in the Far Cry series? And is it better or is it worse?
Well, the Far Cry Blood Dragon is kind of a Far Cry 3.5, so it's not too different from Far Cry 3 per se. And it's not different from like the other Far Cry's drastically from a gameplay structure point of view, but from a world point of view and from like an aesthetic point of view, it really takes a different way. Well, you know, in the first in the normal Far Cry games, you have real looking settings, in the islands in the Pacific, in the Himalayas, in Cuba, and in America. In Far Cry Blood Dragon, you have a neon looking setting that looks like it came out from a movie in the 80s, and it's quite visually speaking, it's extremely different.
Yeah.
And also the tone of the game, it's also quite drastic, and it's also shorter. While the other games are quite big, you need at least 20 to 30 hours to complete them. This one you do not need that much. You only need about 5 to 10.
Yeah.
But the shortness of the game makes the game much more dense and much more fun to play. I think it's the only game I finished more than 3 times for how good it is.
All right, and then moving on to Danny. Danny, when a gameplay makes a sequel, so like when, I don't know, Red Dead Redemption, the original, goes to Red Dead Redemption 2, should it introduce an entirely new story, or should it stick to a similar narrative? How far should it change out? How far is it allowed to change?
Well, I think because Red Dead Redemption sticks with the same map, you can say, because in Red Dead Redemption 2 you have a whole new map, but you still have the old map in the bottom left corner if you've played the game. I think it just depends what game it is, because GTA 6, I'm going to assume it won't have the same characters or the same map unless it's a remastered version, but that's a bit different because remastered is the exact same thing,
I agree,
with just better graphics. But I think it just depends on the game, because Red Dead Redemption got new characters but stuck with John Master and his family. I just think it just depends on the game, really. So I think it's both.
So would you say then GTA is a good game series in its total?
Well, every GTA game has always been different. Has always had a new map, always had a new characters, and I think it should stick that way for GTA 6, because we've had GTA 5's characters in the story for nearly 10 years now, so I think GTA 6 has to change itself up now.
I agree. Blue Fox, moving back to you are a big fan of Assassin's Creed, correct?
Well, a big fan. I'm a fan.
You are a fan. Okay, all right, okay. Let's go with Assassin's Creed, because Assassin's Creed is a very interesting game. First, they kind of changed the mechanics when they released, I think it was either Syndicate or was it in France, one of them. I think it was like I can't remember the Revelation game, but it was like the French Revolution, and then they changed it up again with Origins. So between those games, was the transition in gaming mechanics a good thing when it came to those two games, or was it too quick to transfer from something we knew, like the gameplay mechanics of Black Flag, to the gameplay mechanics of Origins?
Well, the Assassin's Creed franchise is of course a franchise that had at least a dozen games, so there has been some progression to the core gameplay and structure from the very beginning. So from a first Assassin's Creed to the second one, to Brotherhood, to Revelation and whatnot. Assassin's Creed Black Flag, it's very different from all the other Assassin's Creed games, even more so than perhaps Origin, Odyssey and Valhalla, because it's more of a pirate game where you have your ship, you have your crew, you have to explore the islands, you have to loot the other boats and whatnot. So it's more similar to Far Cry Blood Dragon in this sense, that it's a game that feels familiar, but in a completely different setting. And yes, after Syndicate, the new Assassin's Creed were more RPG based rather than stealth combat as we were used to. And is it positive or negative? It truly depends. It truly depends on one personal taste. Personally, I would say that a true Assassin's Creed should focus the gameplay to the player's skill rather than the player's grinding. So I did not like the fact that there were enemies 30 levels higher than me I could not kill with an arrow in the head. While in the older Assassin's Creed you could be the weakest person with no weapons and no nothing and still come up on top with your own skills. Yeah. But on the other hand, there are people who do enjoy exploring big open worlds, like myself. I do have love the quest, to have some progression, to get stronger every time I fight. It's a different style, so it really truly depends on the player's preference.
Okay, so as an extension to that question, is a game allowed, if it, is a game allowed in theory to change its game up to appeal to a bigger audience, or do you think a game should narrow down and stick with a smaller audience? For example, like if a game is about stealth, should it focus on an audience that's purely focused on stealth, or should it try and change up, do a bit of everything? Which one do you prefer? What's your if you're a game creator, what would you stick as?
A game sequel has to improve the first game. That's for sure. It doesn't matter how it does it, it has to be better. If you buy a sequel, it's because you say, okay, the developers have learned from their mistakes and their game perhaps was an 8 and now it's a 9. You want to see some improvements. But improvement is, of course, a vague word. Thus, a game improves by inserting new mechanics and removing old ones. Again, depends on personal feelings, because you could argue that the new Assassin's Creed games, they have improved from a world-building point of view. So you have a bigger map, you have not only cities, but you have whole regions, you have whole factions and whatnot. But, the stealth part was fully removed. So is that an improvement? For some is yes, for some is no. Myself, I don't believe it's an improvement, but it's a change. So a sequel should always aim to deliver the player a better experience. And perhaps in some cases I would say to focus on improving what you have rather than to drastically change it, because drastic changes of course are not always appreciated. I think of a game like Zelda Breath of the Wild, which is my favorite video game, or in the top 5 video games, but it's not my favorite Zelda, which is weird to say, because it's very different from other Zelda games, but I do like the new formula. So I'm looking forward for Tears of the Kingdom because it's more of Breath of the Wild, but in comparison to the Wind Waker, to A Link to the Past, to Ocarina of Time, it's extremely different from a structure of gameplay. So it really depends. It's a gamble to make radical changes, I'll say that. Sometimes it pays off and sometimes it doesn't.
Okay, and then moving over to Danny. Question for you. Ready?
Yep.
Cool.
Yes.
Right, okay. Question that I have then is basically if GTA itself, yeah, took out the open world aspect, would you still play it?
No, I would not.
It just wouldn't work, would it?
It just wouldn't work because like GTA is a game of crime. You wouldn't want to commit a crime in the same place all the time. Like a story mode, you do a crime in Paleto Bay, you do crimes in Sandy Shores, you do it in Los Santos, you do it all around the entire map. You do crimes. And also in online, it's all around the map, yeah. All your bunkers, all your facilities, all around the map. So it just wouldn't work if it wasn't open world.
And I absolutely agree with that. Now, here's the thing: I always think when you put open world into a game, it's very hard to remove from. So it's very easy to add and say that's an improvement, but it's very hard to subtract that from a game. So, for example, yeah, Payday 3 is coming out, yeah.
Yeah.
Would you play Payday 3 if it was open world?
I think actually Payday 3 will be good with both. I think I actually done that really well, because if they turn it into like a thief simulator, yeah. Imagine this: you and your 4 friends, yeah, or 3, whatever. You're in a van, yeah. You're at your like little headquarters. You pick the house, the bank, the casino. You go there. You drive over there. You scope it out in person, yeah. You find an entry point, an exit point, and then you do the heist. That would be amazing, because like instead of just in the menu doing all the pre-planning, imagine if you do all the pre-planning in person, like you're actually there. So I think Payday 3 should do both.
It's all about the immersion, isn't it? It's all about the immersion. I absolutely agree. Okay, so example then of something completely different. Can you have open world, but also keep it as an RPG? You kind of mix and match and like make smaller open world areas. That's kind of my question that I'm gonna probably direct what we're talking about into. So, strong opinions now. Danny.
Yeah.
Hitman Absolution. Is Hitman Absolution too far off the track of the original Hitman games? And you know why I'm talking about this. And or is it still a good game, but maybe it should not be part of... I don't know. What are your thoughts about this? Because for me, Hitman Absolution, and I'll just say my piece, I think it would work if it was someone else as the main character. But what is your opinion about that?
Okay, so I get what you mean. Like, Hitman is all about open world, all about going around to places, finding new advantages, yeah, walking around the entire map. But Hitman Absolution, I actually enjoyed it, because I actually preferred it to be in one little area. Because in one little area, I can actually do all the different killing methods. Because in open world, like Hitman 1, 2, and 3, which I've played, yeah, I love them very much. It's just, the map's just too big. Like, I can't kill the targets, like, with all the different opportunities, because the map's so big, yeah. If I wanted to kill the targets with all the different opportunities, I'd have to restart the mission multiple times. But the thing about Hitman Absolution, yes, I might have to restart the mission a few times, but it's a smaller map, so it's way easier to do the actual kill. I think it was a good idea, but for some people, they might think it should have been a DLC. But yeah, that's my thing.
Okay, twisting it back over to Blue Fox for a section. Blue Fox.
Yes?
You've played the game Skyrim, yes?
I have.
I've seen it in a video, so I know you have.
It's been a while.
And have you heard of the game Elder Scrolls Online?
I have, but I've not played it.
Okay, and from the difference between you've made a choice to play Skyrim but not played Elder Scrolls Online, what's your choice of like going like, okay, I like that game, I can invest myself into that game, and then you looking at this other game and you go, no, I don't think that's for me. What's your decision on that? Because to be fair, they are kind of the same mechanics, but there's a difference, and where's that difference?
Well, it's extremely big of a difference between Skyrim and the Elder Scrolls Online. Is that the first one, it's an RPG single player, and the second one is a massive multiplayer game, which has drastically different mechanics from a gameplay point of view. Maybe perhaps in the, fighting enemies and whatnot, it's very similar, but in the way you experience an MMO, it's very different. You invest a lot of time in it. You have to invest days and weeks and months of grinding, of exploring the same dungeons, of making a community, of meeting new people, something that I truly do not wish to make. I like to play video games for my own sake, for my own time, and not be committed to one title for too long. So games like MMOs, such as the Elder Scrolls Online, or perhaps World of Warcraft, or Final Fantasy XIV, are games that simply do not appeal to me, because I say, well, it's not what I'm looking for my gaming experience. Although they are still part of franchises that perhaps have single-player titles, so the single-player titles may intrigue me, but the massive multiplayer online games might not. And one footnote regarding the open world that has been mentioned earlier, I would say that it's a bit of a stretch to say that an open world is by definition an improvement for a game, because I believe that there are games that are open worlds that really shouldn't be open worlds, and that the open worldness of the game makes it worse. One example is of course Mafia and Mafia 2, which have very empty open worlds, which doesn't justify the insertion of them. I would have rather have a linear experience, but crafted in the way those games are, rather than to be forced to drive in a desolated town with nothing to do for hours just to go from the first mission to the second one. It's we think of games like Bioshock Infinite, which are not open world yet are marvelous because the level design is incredible and you're always progressing throughout the adventure rather to be forced to explore and do side quests that you don't truly care about. So it's we have to be careful when we talk about inserting open worlds into sequels to make them better, because sometimes it works. It has worked for Zelda Breath of the Wild, but sometimes it does not work. So let's keep an eye on that.
Okay, so expanding on that question, when it comes to online games, would you say then, as sequels make online games of their versions of the game, would you say the online portion of the game is less personal to the player experiencing the game than he would do if he was playing a full-on RPG single-player game?
Well, it depends, because when you insert a multiplayer aspect in a single-player game, so for instance with the multiplayer in GTA, then you're not truly expanding the game itself. You're making a parallel game based on the assets of the single-player game that works in a multiplayer environment.
Okay.
So I would say I played a little bit of GTA Online, but not too much. But I would say that the experience in that game it's different from the single-player one. In the single-player one, you can do whatever you want, whenever you want, and you have all kind of side missions. You have some stories to follow along and whatnot. While the online one is a bit more chaotic and it's based upon the community, right? You want to play online because you want to play with other people. So the unpredictability that the servers introduce to the core gameplay changes drastically the experience. And then of course you have the heists, you have the co-op missions, you have the versus missions, you have the races and whatnot. So it's in this scenario, I would say that the developers need to be careful to not impact the single player experience by adding a multiplayer experience and vice versa, but also to make them both enjoyable in their own right.
Okay. Danny, question for you. When it comes to, let's say, for example, the difference between movies and gaming, when they pass over to each other, because there are times when game series also links to movie scenarios. When is it okay, let's say for example, a movie to make a game, and how should they go about doing that? Should there be like a connection? Because Hogwarts Legacy is good, but would it be better if it was based in nowadays, or would that make it worse?
What do you mean in nowadays?
So it's set 200 years before the present. So would it be better if you added in characters that we're used to, or is it better because they didn't add in characters that we're normally used to?
Well, think of this. If you make a movie about Harry Potter, yeah, everyone's seen it. Everyone loves it, yeah?
Yeah, we all love it.
Yeah, and like, let's say they're not going to make any more sequels. It's finished, yeah? The franchise.
Yeah, the movie's done. Yeah.
Movie's done, yeah?
Yeah.
So they make a game, yeah? Some people would say, I really want them to make Hogwarts Legacy with like Harry, Hermione, all the other characters in it, and I really want to play as them. But some people might say, wait, hold on a minute, I don't want to play as Harry or any of the characters. I want to play the past or maybe the future. But for this one, we'll go with the past. I think it just depends on what people like. Because some people might want to play Hogwarts Legacy as Harry, or some people might want to play Hogwarts Legacy as the past, like the past, or the future. But I don't think they're gonna make a future game of Harry Potter, because then what's the point of making a game about it? You might as well just make a new movie if you're doing the future. So I think Hogwarts Legacy have actually done a good decision, but some people might disagree. Again, it's kind of 50-50 about this one. Or I got an idea: they could just add in a DLC pack with all the characters, make everyone happy.
It's true. I think though that and what's your opinion on this? The fact is that when they don't include characters from the present, or they don't make a present version day version of the game, they're a lot more free to tweak and design how they feel and how they choose. For example, like if you put Harry Potter into a game, you have to follow one of the books or something around the books in keeping those factors about that character. Whereas, for example, if you make, let's say, for an example, the sequel, which is actually set in the past, does that make the game creators more free to create the game as they see fit without being restricted to have to follow a storyline?
Well, if you're making Harry Potter as the past, a game about it, I would hint the future for Harry Potter, like, because you can't make a past about something without hinting something for the actual present, if that makes sense. It's like in a flashback of a movie. If you watch a flashback scene, there's always some type of hint saying this bit of whatever is going back to the present, if that makes sense. So I think they have to at least put some type of hint that this is 100% the past and Harry Potter will come in the next 200 years.
Yeah. So there has to be hints, but there has to be things. So for example, like Nearly Headless Nick is in the game and he's a character from the present as well as the past.
Yeah,
and so is like
hint.
Sorting Hat. But apart from those connectivities, you know you're in the world, but there's enough disconnections from that world to allow you to play around with the space that you've got. Like, you can't destroy the castle, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you can eliminate people that are in that castle. But yeah, okay, makes sense. Blue Fox. Series are coming out. We've had The Last of Us. We've had Halo. I think there's I think we've had Pokemon as well from, that's been linked up. And we're even having a Mario movie. When is my question? Or is it, and how much connectivity, like, when is it okay to, let's say, for example, to make a movie or a TV series in your eyes, and how different should those movies be away from their gaming versions?
It's, of course we've seen video games based on movies and movies based on video games. It's a bit more recent phenomenon to have, for instance, series based on video games. We think of the Cuphead series on Netflix or The Last of Us being released very recently. I would say that it's a tricky question to answer in a general way, because of course every series is different. So for instance, for the Cuphead series, it's more like a just morning cartoon. It has nothing to do with the actual video game, because the video game itself didn't really have a plot, it was just boss fights. Well, The Last of Us, from my understanding, I have not seen the series, but from my understanding it's one-to-one from the video game. So in that case, people who have not played a video game because they are simply out of the demographic of playing video games, I think of maybe older folks that really do not care of buying a PlayStation to play The Last of Us, they still can enjoy the storytelling that The Last of Us has. So in this regard, I would say that it makes video games much more appealing for everyone, because then it makes people can say, you see, the story these video games have are series worthy. They're not just something in a vacuum that is just being for the younger folks who play the video games, and then it's not relevant for everyone else. No, it's actually a way to say, yes, video games have stories that are emotional and are for the big theater. However, yes, the slippery slope is to make a series that it's often worse than the video game, and then the people who like the video game complain. And then, in a series you can only do so much. You only have 12 episodes in a season, so you cannot truly transpose an entire gaming experience in a series, especially if the game it's a big RPG. I don't know, I think of like The Witcher, for instance, which of course the Witcher series touches just a slim of the whole video game, which itself is based on a novel. Perhaps the Netflix series of BioShock will be more one-to-one, because this game itself is shorter. So there are many directions it can be taken to make a movie or a series based on a video game, and I don't know, I would just see it case by case. I don't feel very comfortable to make a general rule of thumb, because so many different experiences.
Question then. Oh no, go on.
So I want to add two things. I think when you want to make a movie about a game, I think the developers should end the sequel for the game franchise, like The Last of Us 2. Yeah, I think they should end that franchise because they've made the movie now. Yeah, I think you should only make a movie about the game when you either not gonna do a sequel to it or just completely stop doing sequels to it. Also, in the movie, I think like the dialogue should be as accurate as possible, because I know in the Last of Us movie, if you compare the game and the movie, put them side by side, the dialogue is pretty much exactly the same, and the camera angle is pretty much the same as well. And I think a movie should be like that as well, because it gives the viewer watch like the same emotion as they would feel in the actual game if they played it.
That's a good point, actually. That is a very good point. I was just thinking on that line, they've made Hitman movies before now. For me, a movie about Hitman doesn't really work for me. Yet, when I see something like Uncharted, it works better because it's like it's a completion celebration for people who want to watch a movie. I still always agree they should always use Nathan Fillion as playing the Uncharted character, but it's just my own opinion on that. Okay, so bringing it back to a center point. Okay, when you make and this one's for Blue Fox, by the way, when you make sequels or when you do spin-offs, specifically, not sequel spin-offs, but they're kind of like sequels, so they're falling on the same thing.
Yeah, I get it.
Should spin-offs should they use the same characters as the main game, or should they expand the universe if they do in a direction use brand new characters?
I would say that of course they're not limited to use the same characters, and they have the entirety of freedom to just choose another characters. I would say that both work. There are some spin-offs where I do like not playing with the main character cast. I just want to play with somebody else and just roam around. There are some games that have third characters which are developed throughout spin-offs. So I think about Dishonored, where in the spin-off you are playing with one of the characters that is present in the main game, but it's not a main character by all means. So I thought that was very smart of the developers to do. But of course there are some spin-offs where you do get to know the character a little bit better, perhaps you explore a different area of the world. So one example I could bring is Valkyria Chronicles 4, which has some DLCs which expand the characters' personalities and the characters' interactions between themselves. So I thought that was great, because then of course you had much more opportunities to know more the characters, although they were like in kind of parallel stories from the mainline title. So yeah, I think both work. It's non-mandatory to use the main characters, but when they do, then they should do it, because then you get to know them better. It's not because, oh yeah, the same character, we're lazy to make a new one, so here we go, just fight off new enemies and, you know, have fun. I do like when they do it because they want you to, well, explore the world more.
Okay, so ask all those questions. I'm going to say some particular games. I just want to get your guys' thoughts on these particular ones, because there are some games that do count as the odd one out. The odd one out is specifically a game that is a little bit different from the rest of the series. So let's go with Assassin's Creed Origins. Blue Fox, is Assassin's Creed Origins an absolute change from the series?
Okay, well, it is. It's no question about it. It's drastic. I mean, somebody could say, well, you know, it's still like a third-person action game. Well, yes, I suppose. But the philosophy behind the game structure it's opposite. Well, in the first games, as I explained earlier, the concept was the player's skill on fighting enemies. In the new game, it's more the adventure that makes the character stronger independently on your own skill. So in the Origin game and in the Odyssey and whatnot, the character becomes stronger because he or she faces, you know, quests and challenges and fights off enemies, and then the character physically gets stronger by learning new skills and rising up with the levels. Well, in the other games, it was yourself that you had to become stronger. You had to learn how to use, I don't know, like throwing knives, because then you could take out 2 guards at once, and then you had like the grappling hook that allowed you to move faster. You needed to use the tools that were given to you in a smarter way. We see a change like this, for instance, in the Far Cry franchise. So in the Far Cry 3 and 4, your skill was extremely important. You can take down a whole regiment of people by just using your knife. Well, in Far Cry 5 and 6, there are levels, so you cannot do that. You cannot go to the main city and just kill everybody with your pistol, because that just doesn't fly. So it's I find it frustrating in the Assassin's Creed case, because then I say, well, it's not a good change, but you know, it's a drastic change nonetheless. I cannot deny it.
Okay, and then to Danny, Hitman Absolution, is that its own? Would you say that's drastically different from the rest of the Hitman series, and is it a good thing or a bad thing?
I think Hitman Absolution is a brilliant game. The only drastic, it's not really drastic, it's just a different type of playstyle, really. I mean, some people like really open world. Well, Hitman is open world, but not severely open world. But I don't think it's a drastic change. I think they were just testing if the community likes not really big open world or not big open world. I don't think it was that drastic. I think it was kind of just like a test. I still think this is a good game, but yeah, I don't think it was a test. No, I think it was a test, and I don't think it was a drastic change.
Okay, then I'll use that and I'll spin that question on a thing. First I'll ask you, Danny. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Should game companies create spin-offs or sequels to their games that might be used for testing to a new audience or seeing how an audience reacts? Then do you think that's a good thing? Do you reckon that should be implied into more games? Like, would you play a smaller version of Grand Theft Auto if it was a brand new idea and it was just testing out for, like, if the public liked it? Do you think GTA should do something like that?
I think they should, but okay, two things. I think they shouldn't make it a game. I think they should make it into a DLC. Second, I don't want them spending 10 years to make a spin-off on it, because we all know how that's turned out. I think GTA should try it, but don't make it into a game. Make it into a DLC, but just don't spend like 10 years on it. Just only spend like a couple years.
Do you reckon they've done something similar there? Like they've put down a DLC and they're testing out what players think about things before they make their new game? Do you think they've already done that with things like the Pelico? You know, the Cayo Perico heist.
Well, that's a heist. That's a bit different. That is on a tiny island with a bunch of guards. There's no free...
There's not enough connection there.
There's not enough... Okay, well, GTA is known for its properties, its cars, yeah, and its shops. The only thing Cayo Perico has is just a little airstrip, a massive mansion which you can't actually buy, and just a bunch of guards wanting to kill you. And there's no roads, just dirt paths. Cars are from like the Vietnam, you could say Vietnam War. Unless I could be wrong there, but anyway, like most of the cars there is just like World War cars. Like you got that buggy car with like the windshield at the front with no roof and no sides. So not really, no.
Okay, and
if I may answer this,
yeah, go for it.
Question, I would say that I'm not too sure about the GTA case in particular. I haven't played that game too much, but the Far Cry Blood Dragon is exactly what you described. It's a spin-off title that is standalone, so it's you do not need to have the original title, so it's not a DLC, and it experiments with new mechanics in a smaller environment. Again, Far Cry 3 is a game that takes about 20 to 30 hours to complete. Far Cry Blood Dragon, 5 to 10. But it tries new things out, and some of them work, some of them do not. But it truly gives a smaller experience to the player that it's much more enjoyable because it's round up. It's there are no dilutions thing going on. It's a complete experience, and yeah, you get to have a new game. Well, of course, a smaller game, but then again, a quicker to develop game.
Okay, so the main final question as a conclusion to what we've talked about in today's discussion, and should then, is it then a good idea as agreement? Do we agree that if games should drastically change their games, that can be a good idea and it can also be a bad idea? But before they do that, maybe a smaller test game might be more appropriate to see what the player and the fan base thinks about their game instead of making it on a full-on too big kind of game. Because I played Mass Effect Andromeda, and I think they could have pulled that off a lot better if there was a game in between Mass Effect 3 and Andromeda, a smaller thing that would collect data on what people think about the game. But what are your opinions on it? And are you in agreement?
I think... oh, okay.
Oh,
Wait, what?
I was going to go with Danny first.
Sorry, you were speaking for a long time.
Sorry, Blue Fox, you want to take this one?
Yes, okay, so the main question, like summarized, would be, is it a good idea to make a test game, smaller game, to try out the waters, to then make the revolutionary sequel much more digestible to the fans? That's the, in a nutshell, version. So I would say that yes, I think it's a good idea, because then you kill two birds with one stone. You do not, you please the fans that are used to the series with a smaller title and make them try the new mechanics so they are more used to them, so when the new sequel comes out they're not too shocked about it. But at the same time you do want to have that surprising effect. So again, if I go back with my example of Zelda Breath of the Wild, it was shocking for the player who was used for like the older Zeldas to play the new game, but that shock is what makes it good. So if there was like a smaller title in between that made us try the, let's say, Grand Plateau, so like the tutorial area, then yes, I would say that it would have built some hype, but at the same time it would have detracted from the surprise. A franchise has done this, it's Metal Gear Solid, because they have released Ground Zeroes, which is kind of a demo for a game, before releasing the full game. But they released that game, the demo, as a standalone, so you could buy it for like, I think, 20 euros. And yeah, I mean, fans were pleased with it, because they got to experience the new mechanics for what would be Kojima's big next production. So it could definitely work. I would say yes. If it's possible, go for it. Of course, you know, you do need to make a new game, so it takes some time, it takes some money. But it reduces the gamble for the sequel that changes the mechanics drastically.
Danny?
What? Same question?
Same question?
Oh yeah, I've already said it. Yeah, I think they should like do little spin-offs of the game, but like I wouldn't make it into a game. I do some type of DLC of it, because you can't like release a game and then a few years later release another game. I make it into like a DLC, but close to a game, but written as DLC. If that makes sense.
That makes sense. And I think that's a perfect conclusion. So yeah, there you go. Basically, guys, Halo ODST is a good game. We've come to that conclusion. Right, moving on to the next section of this podcast, which is, by the way, that's all I wanted to lead this podcast to. I want to prove Halo ODST was a good game. All right, moving on. So, yes, we're going to now be playing a small little game. I'm going to see how it works. So if you guys enjoy it, then you're more than welcome to make game suggestions based on, or you can ask us questions. You can give us suggestions. Tell us what physical talking or things we can do in a podcast, that type of thing. If you have an idea of what games we can play, then please type them down. We'll see if we can convert them. But we have a few ideas of our own, and we're going to start off with this first game. It's called Guess My Game. And basically, I have a particular game inside my head that I'm pretty sure that you both familiar with, and I'm going to see if they can guess it. The questions, they can ask anything they want. They have to take it in turns. The first person who guesses it wins. If they don't guess it, it's completely wrong. They lose the game. The other person gets to make a guess, and if they're wrong, then the other person's back in. It's a thing like that. So if you guess the game and you guess it wrong, you're out. If you get it correctly, you win. That simple. So the and you can only ask me questions that respond to me in yes or no, because I'll only answer yes or no. So I've picked my game. I've got my game. The game is now on screen for anyone who wants to see this. So you guys can look away if you don't want to know what the game is. The game will appear on screen in 3, 2, 1. There's the game right there, and it will disappear now, and you can listen back to the podcast. Brilliant. So now what we'll do is we now do a thing. So now they can ask me questions and see if they can guess what the game I'm thinking is. Let's begin.
Danny, you can go first.
Okay, brilliant.
Okay. Question. What's a good question? Does this game have a sequel to it? It can be the first game, it could be the fourth game, whatever. Does it have a... Okay, it does. Okay. Has a sequel.
All right. Is this game part of a franchise that has at least 4 games or more?
Yes.
Okay, so it's a big franchise.
Okay. Ooh.
Well, I mean, you should probably ask another question. It's,
Is it made by Rockstar Games?
No.
Okay, so it's not GTA.
Is it played in first person?
Yes.
Ooh. Is it... Okay, question. It's in first person. It's more than 4. Oh. Give me a second. I just want to find something. Is it made by Ubisoft?
No.
Okay, so it's not Far Cry.
Let's see. Well, what could be a good question apart from like who developed it? Let's make something more interesting. Is the latest installment of the game yet to be released? So did they announce a sequel that it wasn't released yet?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Wait, so Blue Fox, there's more than 4 games, right? So it's
Yeah.
a franchise.
So it's a big franchise that has an announced sequel that is yet to be released.
Okay, so wait, so they are releasing a game.
Well, I mean, Seb's game was already released, I suppose.
Okay,
But
Seb, when was the last game that your franchise released? Like, what was the year that the last game got released? Because it's a sequel.
I can't answer that question. I answer yes or no.
Oh, sugar, yeah, you can. Ooh, it's first person. Is it a shooter?
Yes.
It's a shooter. Okay.
Is this game set in modern day, or at least like, yeah?
No.
No,
Okay.
it's not.
Is this game... Okay, so was the franchise's first game released on the Xbox 360?
No.
It
Okay,
wasn't.
So it's
It's,
either Xbox One or onwards.
I think I know this series, but of course I'm not gonna say it to help you, Danny. I'm pretty confident about the series. But is this game the third title of the series?
No.
Oh. Do you own this game? Like, no, hold on. Do you own all of the sequels, or mostly all of them?
No.
No.
Well, you say no? Yes.
No to all the sequels.
Okay, so you only have the game, then okay.
Okay.
Is this game published by Microsoft?
No.
No. Okay, never mind. It wasn't the game I was thinking.
I will say, but there is a connection.
Okay. There is a connection.
Oh, this is
There is a connection.
Is it more than 4 games? It's not the big ones. Is it? Oh, this is okay. Hold on, just bear with me for a second.
Just so I know if I answered it correctly, what do you mean by not the big ones?
Well, I asked you if it was Ubisoft.
Oh, okay. You mean the companies? Okay.
Like the company. I asked if it was Ubisoft. I asked if it was Rockstar. Hold on.
I think I might know what's the series now. And I understand why. Okay, yes, I definitely understood which franchise it is now. With that bat that you told me early, that's a nice save. Come on, Danny, ask your question.
Is the game set in like space?
No.
I thought you would do that.
I thought about that a bit, but I didn't think that you'd know very much about space games, Danny.
Let's go Google, my friend.
Is the game set during the Second World War? And if you say yes,
it's very clever. I
And
wouldn't say no.
wait,
Not
you
second. I don't think.
Just to clarify, have you answered the question if it was an FPS?
Yes, you have. That was one of the first questions.
And what was the answer?
I said yes to that. It is a first person.
Is it made by Activision? Or like the COD? Is it the COD franchise? Okay, so it's not the COD franchise.
Yes. I want to ask this question. If you answer yes, I'd like to stop the riddle, but only if you answer yes. Is this game set during the First World War?
No.
Nah, damn it, so close. Then it's your turn, Danny. This game was a bit longer than I expected.
This is a bit of a weird one. When was the last time you played it?
I can't answer that question, Danny.
Oh yeah, you can't.
You have to be very specific.
Yes or no? Have you played this game this year?
Oh, that's a hard question.
Okay, if you can't answer that... Actually, no. Answer the question. I'll ask that next one. Have you played this game this year?
Yes.
So you have played this year.
Is the game set during the Cold War?
Is the game set during the Cold War?
One of the conflicts that were part of the Cold War. So we're talking Vietnam War, Korea War, Hungary Revolution, all that time period.
I don't think so.
You don't think so? Well, in the meanwhile, you should probably Google it, because otherwise my question doesn't say anything.
Wait, so Blue Fox, did Seb say that a new game of the sequel's coming out? Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
Seb, are we planning on releasing a video on this new game on the Jump Inside channel?
No.
Okay, so it's a new game, but you're not gonna put it on the channel.
No, it's not a new game.
Wait, but Blue Fox just said that it's a new game coming out.
No. The question that I asked was if the series was planning to release a new game. So we know that. So for instance, like Zelda, there's gonna be a sequel. But if you say Zelda Breath of the Wild, that game was already released, right? I think that's what he meant when he answered yes. So yeah, let's see. Oh, you threw me off. I was hoping that it was either Call of Duty Cold War or Battlefield 1, but that's clearly not the case.
No, but
so,
I asked it was made for Activision, so you should have gone off of that easily.
Yeah, but Battlefield is EA, so.
Battlefield doesn't have it.
It's not Cold War on React question back there.
Oh yeah, it's not Cold War.
Yeah.
Okay. Then
I really thought you were on to me for a second.
It's it's not modern period. It's not Cold War. It's not the First World War or the Second World War. When the hell is this game set in? Is this game set anywhere between 1900 and 2000?
That was a good question. I was gonna ask that.
No.
It is not.
Why didn't you ask if it was 1900 and present day?
Because it's not modern times, so we already know that.
Yeah, but you don't know that. So it's a. So
I mean, modern times. It's the last 10-ish years. I mean,
so it's an FPS game set before 1900s.
No.
No, that wasn't my question.
No.
But okay, yeah. Thanks for telling me.
So it's a game set in the past, like quite noticeably in the past. A first version that has a lot of games.
Is that your question?
No, I was just I was speaking to myself.
I'm thinking. It's a game set in the past then. It needs a series of at least 4 games, so it's not something like Kingdom Come that only has one title or something like that. So that's
So Blue Fox, it's FPS game, yeah, set before 1900, yeah.
Wait. I never. What do you mean 1900?
No, because Blue Fox asked, is the game set between 1900 and 2000? And you said no, it's not. So that means the game is set before 1900.
Yeah.
Unless you said something wrong.
You said between and that and 2000.
Yes.
Yeah. But I
You
also
said
asked,
nothing about after. Either.
yeah, I asked the modern period, and modern period is the last 20 years. So it's not. Yeah, it's unless when I asked modern period, I meant the last 20-ish years. That's how we define modern period. Modern period is after 2000.
Okay.
And you told me no.
So that means it's before 1900. Anything above 1900, it's not set in that time. So it's set.
Just on a clarification over the questions, no one's asked me anything about the future either.
What do you mean?
Oh, now we're getting somewhere. Yes, I fully understand what he means. Is the game set in space?
I already asked that.
No.
No, you asked. I don't remember what you asked.
And I shouldn't have said that because that might give it away now.
Okay. I know which game. I know which series it is. But it's your turn. I fully know what series it is now.
No,
I'm
it's your
definitely.
turn.
Is it?
No, it's Danny's turn.
No, but he asked the same question though.
Nah, okay, fair enough. Okay, is the game a massive multiplayer online? An MMO?
Not this version. No.
So it is single player.
I like to solve the riddle.
Go on then.
Can I do that?
Yeah, go on.
You're more than welcome to.
Fallout
I've got
4.
nothing.
Correct. Brilliant. What were you going to go with, Danny? Just wondering.
Nothing. I had nothing.
But were you not on that track at all?
No.
Gotta admit, you got me off with the time because it's true. It's set in 2277, I believe.
Yeah, it's
Oh my god.
yeah.
It's in the far future. You're right.
it is in the far future.
And I remember asking you if it was the third title of the franchise, and you told me no, so it wasn't Fallout 3. It could have been New Vegas, to be honest. So
it could have been New Vegas.
but yeah, it wasn't 76 because it's.
And of course, there you go. Yes, correct. It was Fallout 4. Yes, brilliant. And of course, that right there is the podcast. Tell me what you think. Did you enjoy the game portion? Did you enjoy the discussion? What was your favorite part of the podcast? If you enjoyed it, please don't forget to tell me in the comment section down below, and like and subscribe to this video. I've been joined by Danny.
Hello. Thanks for letting me join this podcast.
And of course, I was also joined by Blue Fox as well.
Always a pleasure to be here, and I'm looking forward for the next one.
And of course, if you want to check out Blue Fox's channel, you can check out his channel in the links below, or you can start by checking out in a few days' time. I'm not quite sure. Actually, I think it might already be out by the time you listen to this podcast. The Jump Inside Twitch channel, we are planning on taking off. So hopefully you enjoy both of those sections, and I will see you guys in another video. Thank you so much for watching, and goodbye.